So normally on this channel, I post content that is geared towards helping you improve yourself or your wellness so that you can be better than you were the day before. But today is going to be a little bit different because I realized that y'all don't really know anything about me. So that is what today is going to be about. I'm Isaiah. I'm originally from the country of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm a fourth year student at the University of Toronto, and here is how I got here. So my university journey basically started where everybody else's does, at the end of high school. I attended Fatima College Secondary School in Trinidad and Tobago. The best secondary school in Trinidad. Just want to represent. Now, I really excelled in high school, and one of the goals that I had was to get a national scholarship. This is something that basically the government of Trinidad and Tobago offers to students who do exemplary well in their studies. That scholarship, basically depending on which type you got, could pay for your entire tuition abroad. And that was what I was gunning for. But the standard was pretty high. You needed to get pretty much A+ in every subject that you did. Some of the courses that I took in high school were pure mathematics, physics, computer science, Caribbean studies, and communication studies. So to get A+ in all of those, it was not an easy feat. I ended up getting A+ in about 3 of the 4 or 4 of them, and just an A. Although it doesn't sound like a bad thing at all, I remember crying to my parents in my room because I didn't get that A+, because I basically thought that meant I wasn't going to get a scholarship. Fast forward a few months, and I ended up enrolling in the University of the West Indies. So that is a region-wide university that happened to have a campus in Trinidad and Tobago. It's one of the best institutions in the Caribbean, and I was really fortunate to get to go to it. But I have to be honest, I did feel a chip on my shoulder because obviously it wasn't my first choice. This wasn't what I was gunning for from the beginning. That being said, I spent a year in UE, and it was one of the best years of my life. I met a lot of cool people who, to be honest, I wish we kept more in touch with. I got to learn a little bit more about computer science and information technology, and that kept intriguing me. And it was a nice set of independence from the high school and regimented way that I was used to it. It was enjoyable for a lot of the time. That was pretty much how things went up until the first semester at UE ended, and then I actually found out that I did get a scholarship, and I was eligible to get that open scholarship, meaning my tuition would be all paid for. This was a huge deal because my family just couldn't afford to send me to Canada in the traditional way, like out of pocket. Needless to say, it was an amazing opportunity to take, and I did take it because, as I said, I'm a student at the University of Toronto right now. So that led me to travel all the way to Canada, a country that I had only visited once for a karate tournament. But ever since I went there, I fell in love with just how the place looked, and I really had a lot of fond memories for it. A funny little side note, the reason that I ended up picking the University of Toronto and its sub-school, the University of Toronto Mississauga, where I am now, is I literally Googled best schools in Canada for computer science, and it was one of the highest ranked things. And when I was looking more into it and like telling people that I was interested in it, somebody who works here, one of my parents' friends, decided to reach out and basically gave their rave review about it. And since then, the rest was history. But let's take it step by step. So in my first year of studies, my family brought me up here to help me get set up, because this was the first time in my life that I'd ever lived anywhere on my own, or just anywhere outside of Trinidad and Tobago. I'd lived and grown up there for 19 years. So it was a bit of an adaptation to make. And after a week, that was kind of it. We said our goodbyes. My sister and I shared an awesome handshake that I hopefully still remember, and I was on my own. As I mentioned before, I was interested in computer science, and that is what I came into the University of Toronto to study. But somewhere along the line, I just didn't like it as much as I thought I would. I don't know if it was how it was taught or just I couldn't see myself doing it. It also didn't help that I was doing very poorly in my computer science work, especially mathematical proofs. Oh my gosh, that was something. If you want to learn more about how I made that switch in majors, and if you want to avoid that mistake yourself, I have a video in the description where you can learn a little bit more about that. So I ended up making a switch to the degree that I'm currently in, and because I'm at one of the best schools in Canada, it is of course given a pretentious name. I'm studying digital enterprise management. So So I was in Digital Enterprise Management, or DEM for short. I like that way because it's a little less pretentious, so I'm gonna just call it that from now on. It's not a full business degree, but it kind of aims to give you a jack of all trades sort of overview of business concepts and technology concepts that you might need in the real world. And I was really loving it because it felt more personable. I got to interact with people more. I also got to see how things worked in the business and tech environment in a way that ComSci didn't allow it. And it also helped that I was getting like 90s casually in them, so that definitely helped a little bit, and it really made me want to do that course. And it's a course I'm still in and that I really enjoy. So with that being said, year one kind of came to an end. I packed up my stuff and went back home for the summer, and then came back ready and refreshed for year number 2. Year 2 was a little bit different, and that is because I signed up to be a Don, or a residence assistant, as other places might call it. Basically, it's a student staff member who supervises other students who live on a campus's residences. I had lived in the residences the year before, so I was comfortable with it, and I also felt like I wanted to give back a little bit. Plus, they offered free housing, so it was kind of a no-brainer. And that was a really good experience as well, because it helped me to get a lot more personable. It helped me to learn how to give advice that wasn't overbearing and just like give your perspective to people. And it also helped me communicate what I thought and how to handle conflict a lot better. And those are skills that you might be seeing right now, because I'm communicating this bad boy like a boss. So again, I was still loving DEM. There was more group work, more like interaction. I ended up going to a business fair where me and a couple friends got to see different businesses and talk to startup companies and ask them how they worked and what working there was like. I also took a lot of like interesting courses. Web design was one that really stands out to me and really stuck to me as a cool thing that I got to do. And I've since made websites based on the knowledge that I got from there. And it was pretty much smooth sailing up until nearly the end of the second semester of the second year. And I don't think I need to tell anybody what happened, but that is when COVID-19 hit and really came down in earnest. I needed to like evacuate the campus, basically because Trinidad and Tobago was closing its borders, meaning that there would be no flights or no boats, no nothing in or out. So I really needed to get there as soon as I could if I wanted to be supported and with my family during this time. I think the turnaround time was like 1 day that I needed to just get all my stuff and go and hop in the airport. Really hectic, really stressful, but it was really good to be with my family during that time and get there. During that, the end of that semester and over the entire summer, I really got to connect with them in a way better way. My relationship with my sister got a lot stronger. My relationship with my parents got stronger. It was so nice. And I also started a YouTube channel, which you might have known that I have or whatever, I guess. The downside was that because it was online school and online learning, it kind of sucked and it wasn't to the quality that I was used to. Like, don't get me wrong, the staff and the teachers and the administration, I'm sure they tried everything they could, but in such short notice to turn things over and to change things around, you know, school is not meant to be an online platform, or at least not in the way that it's taught normally. So it just wasn't a good experience for me. I didn't feel like I took away as much as I did in my first 2 years. It rubbed me the wrong way. It felt like an obligation more than like learning that I was gaining. And that's kind of how it went. So the end of year 2 came and went, and then the summer, and then we were into year 3, and that first semester came and went as well. And another big change happened in the second semester of year 3, or going into the second semester. Basically around December 17th or so, I got word that there could be a flight that came from Trinidad and would go to Canada. I thought this would be like one of my last, if not last, opportunity to kind of hop on the flights, because they were very infrequent, to get back to Canada, to be here and to pursue studies here and like, you know, selfishly get back some of my university experience that was taken away. And it worked. I ended up going on the plane. Fortunately, UofT set up a nice like quarantine hotel, so international students didn't have to pay to get a quarantine facility. And I made a whole video about that. You can check that out in the description as well. One of the other things besides the experience that was drawing me back to Canada was that I had applied to be a Don for the second time in a row. They fortunately allowed me to have a kind of half semester contract. So I'd come in January, I'd see out the end of the year. So the second semester of the third year ended pretty quiet. I rounded out the year as a Don, which, you know, it was fulfilling, but it wasn't as fun as it used to be because there were no in-person events. You couldn't really talk to students and interact with them. It was all done on Zoom. My eyes were hurting and watering all the time. It wasn't the best experience. And obviously that's no fault of anybody. It's just how COVID kind of turned out. The academics, as I mentioned, was also a bit lackluster and nothing really worth noting. I did my work, I tried my best, and I got decent grades. But the summer promised some really exciting news. I applied pretty much for a promotion to get that bag. I ended up getting that promotion, becoming what they call a community assistant, or CA. So this is, again, a student staff member, but instead of the students you're supervising, I'm helping supervise the Dons themselves. So just kind of moved up one rung in the ladder. So that meant I would be in charge of about 16 Dons, which I still am, and it's a really great and fulfilling experience. Love all of y'all if you are watching this. So then year 4 started, and it started pretty incredibly. All those classes were still online. We had students coming back in, there were events being held. It was nice to finally get back to the experience that I know from my first year or my second year. It was just enjoyable. And with that, we're probably pretty much up to date. After graduation, I'm going to go back to Trinidad and Tobago to work, because that is one of the stipulations of the scholarship. They pay for you and your tuition. However, in order to get their investment back, they want you to come to Trinidad, come back to home to work and provide to that economy. So it's a fair trade-off, but obviously it's going to be a little bit sad because I'm leaving things behind here. That is a story for another video, however, and we'll get that eventually. But for right now, I'm just trying to make the best of the next semester. It looks like it's going to be online again, so fingers crossed. Hopefully I can learn some new tips or tricks to try to hack the system and not have that bad of an experience and to make the most out of it. But I guess we'll see. So that is pretty much it. Thank you for listening to my experience so far throughout my university career. Please leave a like if you found this video interesting, and subscribe if you want to learn a little bit more about me. But more importantly, if you want wellness and self-development content that is going to help you be better than you were the day before. But that is all from me today. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you keep improving. Take care. Fun fact, I don't know if you can see that there, but that is because I slipped when I was trying to shape up my eyebrows. So yeah, thought you want to know that. I don't know why, but there you go. If you were wondering why I have this notch, it's not because I'm trying to look cool, it's because I made a mistake.